Well, I've got 5:29, so I'm going to start a little early. I'm glad to see so many people. We were kind of worried at having this later in the evening, how many would turn out, but it's great to see so many people in the room. Wanted to get really quick on just a show of hands on anybody who thinks this is a good time to have a community coffee, because generally we're early in the morning and we keep thinking we may be missing some people. So just a show of hands. Oh, that's great. Great, good. Yeah. Well, we get them a lot, so. My name is Brett Martin. I'm president of CSA, and we've got a great program for you this afternoon or evening, early evening. We are filming this, so for those of you who don't make too many of the early ones, we film these and we post them online. So when we do get to the Q&A session at the end, if you would, just wait for Amanda and David to bring the microphone to you so we can get the question or statement that you have recorded as well as the answer. So just be patient with us at the end and we'll get those to you as quickly as we possibly can. Okay, I'd like to introduce Mark Griffith, who's the chairman of CSA. We'd like to send out a thanks to a group here who have done a great job for us. Mark?
Thanks, Brett. Would like to recognize CSA board and staff appreciation to the bike ambassadors and what they have done for the community over this past year. We'd like to specifically recognize two individuals that I think are representing the ambassadors. They are Steve Alford and was it Sarah Coffin? If you would come forward, please. I'd like to give you this certificate. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thanks, guys. Awesome.
Yeah, kind of match their shirt. Go ahead.
I thought I'd grab the podium just for a minute and share a little bit of data about the bike ambassadors. Frank will be happy that I'm talking about him. We have about a 10-week season. We start when tourists start rolling in, and we end in the middle of August. So we couple that also with Heritage Week and spring break. We get some riders that go out there. This past year, our riders were out, as in previous years, on Sundays and Mondays, right after turnover day. They ride mornings and afternoons, and we try to have 2 riders at a shift. They wear the shirts, or you'll see a vest. And this year, we had 16 riders that were pretty steady riding out there for us, and that's up from 10 last year. And I want to credit Amanda for your help with our PR campaign. In the spring, we put information out in newsletters asking for volunteers, and we got more sign-ups, so that was great. We require our ambassadors to be trained. They spend about 2 or 3 hours, bike safety, South Carolina bike laws, first aid, and do's and don'ts. We are not Sea-Pine security, so we want to make sure they know that. Most frequent question we get is, where's the beach and what's the best restaurant? And the weirdest thing that we've ever had was one of our bike ambassadors had to warn a woman that it really wasn't a good idea to feed carrots to an alligator. And our biggest concern is helmets and safety for our riders, and we see so many visitors that don't wear helmets. So anything, anytime CSA or anyone can do to help with that, that would be great. So sorry to steal some time.
Thanks again, Sarah and Steve and Frank. Where are you, Frank? For the great job you guys have done for the last 2 years for Sea-Pines. Appreciate that. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Victoria Shanahan. Victoria?
Good evening. I'm Victoria Shanahan. I'm Director of Finance and Administration. And I just wanted to go over where we are with our special assessment expenditures. It's been almost a year now since Matthew has hit us. In the first column, you'll see the estimated cost at the time of the assessment. Then we have our actual cost in 2016, which totals $2,279,000. And actual cost through August 31st is $2,279,000. $397. You'll notice that last line item is a negative. We filed for an insurance claim for a loss of revenue as well as damage to the CSA administration building. Just to give you a little history, they initially came back at 135. The claim was for approximately 300,000. They came back to us at 135. We ended up settling with them at 250. After a $50,000 deductible, we netted $200,000. You doesn't see $200,000 there. That's the amount of money that was reimbursed for the damages to the CSA building. The additional $80,000 is in other revenue to reimburse what we lost in gate revenue during those months. Any questions about that? Okay, now we have Irma. Okay, a lot of the bills haven't come through yet. We're still out there working and trying to recover from Irma, but I wanted to give you a little update as to how much we have actually spent through, this is probably last week because this week's bills haven't been posted yet, so that's as of last week. It cost us approximately $15,000 to evacuate and re-enter. We had some hazard pay as well as a lot of overtime. Tree removal, $57,000, and stormwater infrastructure damage, and that's all the bills that have come through. And I'll keep you updated through the website, through Amanda, as every month I'll update you as to where we are. At this point, the board has elected not to pass a special assessment for Hurricane Irma. They just don't know. We just don't know enough yet. And now we have Nate behind us now. So he's coming this weekend. Yeah, tropical storm coming up through the Gulf of Mexico and supposed to hit us sometime over the weekend. So stay safe, everyone, please. Well, it hasn't been named yet, but we think it's going to be named. So, and if you have any questions, I'm here afterwards, or you can call me, email me. I'm happy to provide you whatever you need. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Victoria. We'll now hear from Russell Fredericks, our CSA Director of Maintenance. Russell, would you like to run? Sure.
Thank you very much. Just to make a note, I am the person responsible for generating most of those bills that you're seeing there. So please be patient as we're still dealing with much of the cleanup throughout the property. Just want to talk briefly about Hurricane Irma, or Tropical Storm Irma, and some of the effects that we saw here in Sea Pines for residents that might have stayed and then been back right afterwards. One of the first things that we saw was a significant tidal surge coming into the property in many areas in South Beach and Harbortown, Club Course, and many other locations around the community. We received well over 200 service requests coming in from property owners, just about ongoing issues with storm drains and things of that nature, tree damage, and so forth. So we're still in the process of responding to a lot of those requests. So please be patient as we're working our way through. Again, the tidal surge starting to, if you come down Greenwood Drive, you'll see that on the right-hand side as you approach the CSA office. Particularly, you see a lot of trees impacted and starting to kind of brown out in those areas affected by the salt water. The beach walk cleanup is still in progress. There is a substantial amount of damage to the actual boardwalks around Sea Pines. Initially, there was about 20 boardwalks that were impacted, and David Henderson will be talking more about the beach renourishment and the other repair work that will be forthcoming. Again, on the culverts, please let us know if you have an issue at your property, but we are working through there with our crews diligently. Just wanted to make a note on the mulch delivery service that has resumed throughout the property, but our debris pickup schedule is about approximately 5 days behind. We're trying to catch up. I think with some property owners being out of town and so forth. During Irma, we're starting to see a lot of debris continue to be piled up curbside. So again, we're working through that schedule to try and catch up over the next 2 weeks. Just a quick update on road resurfacing. Plantation Drive has gone, our project out there has gone very well. The very smooth road surface, I'm not sure if everyone has had a chance to drive down there just yet, but we are wrapping that project up. We have temporary road markings in place right now, and then the permanent road markings will be placed in 30 days, along with, we'll be stamping a couple crosswalks along Plantation Drive to improve public safety in that area. In regards to North and South Live Oak and Magnolia Crescent, we're working through a schedule with our contractor. I should have an update within the next few days as when we'll begin those operations. Greenwood and South Sea Pines Drive. We certainly have received a lot of feedback. We've been working with our engineers diligently in the Town of Hilton Head Engineering Department to determine a solution for this area. We are moving forward with construction. Again, in the photo here in the center of this landscape island, this will help to change the geometry in the area. In this right-hand side, you'll kind of see an aerial view of that. This, as you're approaching Greenwood Drive and coming towards Sea Pines Drive, there'll be a new stop sign here. And on the right-hand side, there'll be a yield sign for traffic approaching the intersection. So again, this is a safety improvement that will help improve public safety in the area. We expect to go into construction probably the end of October, early November in this area. One of the additions that we're making, and I think Toby and I have both spoken about this in previous coffees, we'll be adding a leisure trail on the opposite side of Sea Pines Drive on the beach side behind the post and chain fence. And this leisure trail will connect to two new crosswalks. One crosswalk here, which already exists, which we'll be stamping at Beach Walk 24, and a new crosswalk here at Wagon Road. So again, these are improvements, again, to improve public safety in the area, and we'll be, again, starting on these projects this fall. Again, as you're walking down this leisure trail from Greenwood Drive, you'll be able to cross here, and the second crossing, which already exists. So. Other projects that we're currently working on is a resurfacing of a leisure trail at Lawton Drive. We're a good way along with the project, and that should be completed within the next week. The Monarch Leisure Trail. This is over by Beach Lagoon, parallels Beach Lagoon Road. And this is another safety improvement that we'll be working on in the coming week as well. We hope to be done with this by the end of October. So, and you can kind of see here, this leisure trail will connect to the leisure trail that already exists on Sea Pines Drive, and will allow the public, or as you're walking your bike or riding your bike, to be out of the roadway and on that leisure trail. So again, improving public safety. Ongoing projects that we have, we're in the midst of some pothole repair. Also, mosquito spraying is continuing for the next couple of weeks. We'll be evaluating that, as it's been a pretty severe season for mosquitoes. And our flower display change out, that's also taking place mid-October. We'll be starting. We'll make the flowers available for pickup down at our maintenance building. One of the things that we did see, and I mentioned earlier with the saltwater intrusion, we had some effects on our trolley lots, and some recent seeding that we did there. We're going to have to go back and reseed those areas. And I also, sorry, Dave, if you want me to talk about beach renourishment, we could do that too. Beach lagoon dredging. Currently working with the community down there and to schedule the dredging project down in Beach Lagoon, which should probably take about a week or so's time to complete. But we're looking to schedule that for this coming fall. So any questions we could be happy to answer afterwards. So, and thank you.
Thank you, Russell. We will now hear from David Henderson, our Director of Special Projects and Operations. David?
Good evening. I have the privilege, as part of my responsibilities, of working with what I believe to be two of our community's greatest assets, the beach and the forest preserve. And as many of you may know, both were significantly impacted by Hurricane Matthew. And with Irma, the beach was as well. Again, Forest Preserve, thankfully, not as much, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'd like to start with a video that was taken the morning after Irma. And we'll play this video, and it is on a stretch of South Beach Lane where some of the worst damage occurred, and coincidentally, it is the exact same area that was most severely impacted with Hurricane Matthew. So just a little over a minute, just wanted to start off to give you a sense of scale if you've not seen any of it. That was after Irma. I could have showed you the video after Matthew, and you'd be hard-pressed to tell them apart. The exact same area. Well, as a result of Matthew, Amanda, could we go to, I have it, thank you. So as a result of Matthew, the town had planned a renourishment project. It just took a long time to get it going, and they were able to start in mid-August. And they started at Greenwood Teal, and they moved to the south towards Tower Beach. And they were able to complete that work just before the Labor Day weekend. They then went back to Greenwood Teal, and that's where the shore pipe from the barge, or the dredge, comes ashore, and then started proceeding towards the beach club. And they were actively working when they had to demobilize because of Irma. So they demobilized on the Wednesday before Irma, which was September 6th, and they were actually back pumping sand Friday evening. This was after Irma on September 15th. So we were fortunate in that we did have a contractor on site and was able to demobilize and remobilize and resume work rather quickly. But this project, again, as a result of Matthew, was going to go from Tower Beach to East Beach Lagoon, okay? 10 to 12,000 linear feet, about 300,000 cubic yards of sand as a result of Matthew. Well, then again, Irma came along. I wanted to start by showing you, this is some of the Irma-related work, and if you haven't seen it, I'll just point out a couple things for you. This is where approximately Greenwood Teal, and this is where the pipe comes in from the dredge. If any of you have been out there and you see that dredge-looking thing kind of way offshore, they are at the borrow pit, and that's where they get the sand and pump it along with water through the pipe. And this, you can see it's actively being discharged here. The contractor forms a kind of a catch basin that allows that water to slow down, drop the sand, lets the water go back to the ocean, and the sand stays behind. And then the dozers are there pushing it up to the designed profile. And the video that we saw, just so you know, it was this stretch. This was the exact stretch that you saw in the video. So all of the storm damage debris that you saw had to be removed. This is both vegetative debris as well as C&D, or construction and demolition debris. It had to be removed so that the town's contractor could push sand up to where that storm damage ended. They will not push sand over debris. So you can see that active work. As a result of Irma, the town has expanded. This was just approved by town council yesterday evening. They have expanded the renourishment project. So what you're seeing on the slide is the blue, which was the Matthew or pre-Irma renourishment project, again, roughly from Tower Beach to East Beach Lagoon. And then if you can see the red extension, they will then start where the current project will finish, and they are going to go as far as Duck Hawk. The town had initially given indications that the work would continue all through Sea Pines, in other words, past Canvasback and actually into South Forest Beach, but the latest and what has been approved by town council is what you're seeing here. The current project, which again runs to East Beach Lagoon, is expected to be completed in the next 3 weeks, and then they are anticipating that the red line, which is from East Beach Lagoon to Duck Hawk, will take an additional 2 to 3 weeks after that. We have been communicating a series of boardwalk closures, and there's several reasons why we need to do that. One is the boardwalk was damaged as a direct result of the storm. The other is that within this project area, because they changed the renourishment profile as a result of Irma, they are unable to maintain any safe access in the work zone. So when they were doing work previously, you could get by the work zone safely. Well, you can't do that now, and so we are having to close 1,000 foot and in some cases 2,000 feet of beach so that they can actively work with this heavy equipment safely. And you will see those boardwalks as they begin to come online and the work progresses towards East Beach Lagoon and eventually to Duck Hawk. You will see these closures change. For those of you that are on the ocean, we asked early on that no repairs be made, even temporary, in the immediate aftermath of Irma. And we did that so that you wouldn't put something back that we then had to, or the town then had to tear out in order to push sand up. But now that this work is actively going, if you are on the beach and the work comes through and is completely done, you are authorized, and it is appropriate at that time, to make just emergency repairs only. And because of all the sand and the elevation that they're pushing it up to, in many cases, there may not be any emergency repair needed, or it may be a step or two. But the moratorium on building back new beach walks, which has been in place since Matthew, is still in effect. And we will be looking at that as this project progresses to make a determination as to where and when it is appropriate to lift that moratorium to allow new construction to occur. We suspect that some of that, some areas that will happen sooner than later, but again, we will communicate that out. The whole point of moratoriums and emergency repairs is that we don't want you to make an investment in something that is either going to be in the way of this project and possibly have to be removed. And we had a lot of people that understandably were wanting to put their boardwalks back after Matthew. I think they're probably thankful for that moratorium now, because anything that they had put back after Matthew, Irma would have got. Okay? That's a good question. Do you know off the top of your head, Russell? 40. So I know Canvasback is 48, so that would be about right. Yeah.
I'll send an update out tomorrow. So
42A? Okay. That's okay. Thank you for that. We're then going to talk about the Forest Preserve. If any of you were here at last month's community coffee, I provided an update on that. I'll quickly provide, if you weren't, some redundant information just so you can kind of follow along. As I mentioned earlier, the Forest Preserve was significantly impacted by Hurricane Matthew. That was the catalyst for a salvage harvest or a timber harvest in areas where we could appropriately access. And that work has begun. It's going well. And there's two components to this work. One is the obvious storm damage, trees laying on the ground, trees leaning at severe angles. And there's also a significant component that is a forest health improvement component, in that we are in there with the equipment doing the work to get that salvage work out and trying to address a lot of the issues that frankly were there before Matthew even hit. And these are issues like suppressed trees and malformed trees, dead trees, diseased trees that were not necessarily storm related that we're wanting to address at this time. This is a map of LiDAR data. It's essentially a map of the elevations of the Forest Preserve. And just to quickly get you oriented, we have the public service plant here, These are our lakes, Joe, Thomas, Mary. This is Greenwood Drive. This is Cordillo Parkway, just to get you oriented. And so we have begun. We have finished work in this block here, and if you may not be able to see it because of the lighting, but there is a lighter color, meaning that the elevations is certainly higher there than what it is here. So work in this block has been completed. Work in this block has been completed. Work in this block is almost completed. And then there's a few other blocks that we will do going forward. We will then move on to behind Lake Joe. So the shell rings in this area here. We're then moving to this block here on the back side of Lake Joe. We then hope to do some work along the roadway in the Forest Reserve in this area here. Some of the worst blowdown damage we had was near an electrical substation. It's on this high ground indicated by this lighter color here. And we also hope to finish by doing some work behind the power lines, or lots 1 and 2, as we refer to them, which are directly off of Greenwood Drive. And this is this area in here. There's a pretty significant amount of storm damage that if you're in that area or driving down Greenwood Drive and actually take a second to take a peek, you'll see what I'm referring to. But the way the process works is that we're working with the state registered forester, and we will literally go tree by tree. I'm out there multiple times a day. The forester is in multiple times a week. And we are marking each and every individual tree that we then want to be harvested or to be cut. And then they are processed and sold. We are realizing some revenue from it, but it is just a fraction of the cost that we will spend to do additional cleanup work. So while we are making some money, we're spending a lot more than we're making. It's a two-step process. So after that work is done, we then in select areas will bring in a cleanup crew, for lack of a better term. And they have equipment that essentially grinds up all the material that was left behind. And we're doing this for a variety of reasons. It does soften or help improve the aesthetic along road frontages, trail frontages. There was a lot of debris that when we did the initial push after Matthew and cut trees, that material was often just thrown to the side of the road. So it has no marketable value from a timber perspective, but it's along the road or adjacent to the roadway. And doing this second cleanup step is getting rid of all that as well. We have a tremendous issue or problem with climbing vines, as you may have in your yard. You know, we've always had that problem, but what happened is that you had a lot more sunlight hitting the ground because of the tree fall from Matthew. We had a really wet summer, and these vines are just so invasive, and they have really thrived along these edges where they can get sun. So we're trying to knock those back a little bit. And then also many of the roads and trails had, prior to Matthew, fuel breaks or mowed areas that we had put in over a series of years that is there to help mitigate if we were to ever have a wildfire in there. So these are all the reasons why we're doing this second step, if you will. And I wanted to show you a couple pictures where that additional cleanup step has occurred. So the left picture is one of our logging decks. That's where all the activity occurs, where all the trees are brought to, are cut, put on the truck, and leave. And it's arguably the most unsightly area of any logging operation because of all the concentration of debris and all the activity that occurs there. And then the picture on the right is after that additional cleanup step was done. Here's just another before and after, you know, what it looked like after the trees were removed on the left versus what it looked like after that additional cleanup step on the right. And again, it's important to note that we're not doing this additional cleanup step everywhere. We're doing it in these select areas. Many people find that open park-like look aesthetically pleasing, but that is not consistent with what our overall objectives are. You know, we're looking to maximize plant diversity, maximize wildlife diversity. We're looking to control invasive exotic trees, primarily the popcorn tree or Chinese tallow tree. We're looking to favor preferred species, primarily live oaks. We're looking to mitigate risk from wildfire where we can. So we have a lot of objectives. And while many people do find that picture on the right to be aesthetically pleasing, it is going to come back. It is going to change, and it will change quickly as the seed bed and the rootstock that was there begins to recover. And in fact, our greatest challenge and opportunity is going to be in managing that process or succession as we go forward, so that we will use, with the available techniques that we have at our disposal, the available resources that we have at our disposal, to do what we can to ensure that these areas where we've worked just don't get ignored, and that it becomes over time what it was before, which was in many ways a big mess. We don't want that, and that's going to be a challenge and an opportunity going forward for us. Wanted to cover a few Forest Preserve events that are coming up. You know, we need you now more than ever. Forest Preserve relies almost entirely on the generosity of others for its funding. We have our 7th annual community yard sale coming up on October 21st. It's at the Greenwood trolley lot entrance. We do have some spaces available. We've had pretty good interest so far. We do have some spaces available for $30. Applications are available either at the CSA building or at seapinesliving.com. We have our annual solicitation letter. Most years it would have gone out by now. I'm a little backed up and hope that it will be out very soon, hopefully as early as next week, but you will get that annual solicitation letter. Ask that you read it and give us whatever consideration that you can do, because we do rely, again, almost entirely on generosity of others. And then coming up on November 10th, which is a Friday, we have our bonfire event. That is our signature event. Tickets are now available. You have 2 options. You can come into CSA and pay with cash or check, or you can go online, seapinesbonfire.org. I will let you know that we are passing on the fees that the event management system charges us if you do go online and use a credit card. And for a $75 ticket, I believe it's just under $5. Okay, so it's just under $5 as a convenience fee, but that's what they charge us. So I just wanted you to know that you do have a no fee option if you wanted to come in CSA and pay cash or check. Also, our 2018 calendars are in. They're available for retail purchase at CSA for $10. If you get your annual solicitation letter and give $75 or more, you will be mailed a copy of our 2018 calendar. Lastly, I just wanted to let you know about our Greenwood Gate approach signage. It is actually going to be installed hopefully tomorrow. So these are the signs that, and currently there's signage up there now. As you exit Greenwood Seapine Circle and approach the Greenwood Gate, you've seen a series of signs that kind of tell people left lane, right lane, that kind of thing. And we are replacing those. We are using words that some survey work that we've done of daily pass purchasers, which is really our target audience, wanting them to get them in the right place so they won't stop in the left lane. We're trying to minimize that as best we can. But you will see that work occurring tomorrow. We do not anticipate any road closures, but they will be working immediately adjacent to the road, and just ask that you be extra vigilant during this process. It could possibly be entirely finished tomorrow. It may go into the next day. But as you go through there, as you're inbound to the gate, just pay extra attention. Keep everybody safe. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that update. I am next on the agenda, so I will introduce myself. My name is Amanda Sutcliffe-Jones. I am your CSA Director of Communications. We appreciate you guys coming out this afternoon. I will cover a couple different things, got upcoming events, some information on our Board of Directors elections that are also upcoming. I'll talk about our upcoming community survey and then our holiday office hours. So we do have quite a few events that are scheduled in the months of October and November. David did speak to some of these, so I'll just go through this list so you can have some reminders here. Tomorrow in this building, actually in this room, the artists of Sea Pines are hosting their exhibit. You can look around and actually see some of their artwork that's been newly put up, so definitely a fun time. It's going to be tomorrow from 5 to 7 o'clock. We're hosting a flu shot clinic on the 9th of October from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's going to be here at the Sea Pines Community Center. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can contact this number right here to book. And then if you don't have time to make an appointment, you certainly can come in, but those who have an appointment will be seen first. And then all others will be first come, first serve. We also are hosting our yard sale. David made mention of that. The direct link, if you're interested in going straight to it on our website, is seapinesliving.com/yard sale. So if you'd like to register for that yard sale, you can do so that way. We're hosting a community blood drive on October 24th. It's going to be out here in the community center parking lot. The Bloodmobile will be joining us. It'll be from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And if you'd like to sign up to register to donate, you just visit oneblood.org and make your registration there. I'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later, but we are hosting our Meet Our Candidates Forum in this building on October 25th. That will be at 2 p.m. We are hosting a community shredding event on October 30th from 9 to 12. It's going to be out in the parking lot, so the shred truck will be out there and bring your items that you'd like to have shredded. The only thing, staples are permitted as well as paper clips, but if you have large binders, they do ask that you take the paper documents out of the binders because they can't put the binders into the shred truck. So just kind of be cognizant of that. We have our Sea Pines Community Coffee on November 1st here at 9 a.m. And then David mentioned the bonfire on the 10th, which is down in the Forest Preserve. A really fun time if you are able to attend seapinesbonfire.org for tickets. So just an update on our Board of Directors elections. The Board of Directors elections are sort of in progress right now. You'll be seeing your ballots coming out on November 1st. So we made an email communication and update on our website yesterday, but we do want to just formally get these out in front of the community. These are our candidates who are running for this specific board. So you see CSA here, and then you see ASPPPO here. So for CSA, we have 7 candidates, and then for ASPPPO, we have 8 candidates, and they're listed here. Per our bylaws, we do have to list which candidate category they fall into. So you'll see some may fall into a new candidate by petition, some may be a new candidate by the nominating committee, and then we also will have potentially incumbents that would be running for re-election. So these are our official folks who will appear on both the CSA and ASPPPO ballot, and those ballots are done separately. So a little bit more information about the election itself. Like I mentioned, they are 2 separate board of directors. So we have for CSA 3 director spaces available, and for ASPPPO there are also 3 spaces available. We ask that you save the date for the community forum that's going to happen here on the 25th from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. The videos, the meeting, similar to how we do our coffee, will be videotaped and will be produced on our website. But what we're going to do as well for those who are non-residents or for some reason who may not be able to attend, we will be hosting a webinar as well. So I'll be sending out the contact information on how you'd go about getting signed up to join that meeting via webinar. So make your vote count. The ballots go out on November 1st, 2017, and they are due back by December 1st, 2017. So there's 2 ways to return your ballot. The first way is just submitting it straight to the election auditor. And then the second way is at CSA, we will have a ballot drop-off box, and all the ballots that are submitted will be sent straight to the election auditor. So that way, if you, for some reason, don't want to pay for postage, or if you just happen to be by the CSA office, you can drop it off to us as well. The only requirement, however, is it has to get to the auditor by December 1st. So just kind of keep that deadline in mind when you're returning your ballots. That's pretty important. And again, these dates are on our website. I'll continue to send this information out via mass email, and we'll have some gate sign reminders going out as well, so you'll have that reminder. Some additional information. I'm in the process right now of planning our upcoming community survey. The survey will be sent out via email to the property owners later this fall. We're using this survey to gather community feedback regarding a variety of topics. You guys may have remembered in 2015 in October, we did a community-wide survey that had a number of different topics listed. We're sort of circling back on those questions and just really trying to get some information from the community related to a number of different projects that we have going on right now and what we're looking to sort of implement in the future. So I'm working on that survey currently. Like I mentioned, it will be going out by email, so if you need to update your email address for some reason, you can call us at 671-1343, or you can email us at info@csacpines.com so we can make sure we have your accurate email address. CSA holiday office hours, just want to make sure everybody's aware as we kind of move into the holiday season what the holiday office hours for our admin building will be. Brett mentioned this last coffee. We have made a modification to our hours of operation, so we were 8 to 5, are now new office hours are 7:30 to 4:30. These office hours relate to the specific holidays. So we have our Thanksgiving office hours listed, our Christmas office hours listed, and our New Year's Eve holiday office hours listed there. I'll also make sure that these appear in the community newsletter as well as our Facebook page, website, and our mass emails for you guys. All right, well, without further ado, we do have a special guest here with us this afternoon. Emily Sparks is the project lead for the town of Hilton Head Island, and she has some information that she'd like to pass to you guys about their upcoming engagement workshops for their Our Future Vision project. Emily.
Thank you. Well, thank you, and thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Brett, for having me this evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Emily Sparks, and I'm the project lead for the Town of Hilton Head's visioning initiative called Our Future. And I'm excited to be announcing the second round of our community engagement workshops. But first, I want to tell you why we're doing this. And the purpose of this visioning initiative is to put together a vision and roadmap for the future. And when this is complete, we want to do this based on your input. When it's complete, it will help town leadership make decisions and set priorities. So this will be the second round of workshops. I'm excited to be announcing them. They will be October 19th to 25th, all over the island at all different times. I have these flyers in the back of the room, so if you want to see the full schedule. However, we will have one right here in this room on October 24th from 9 to 11 a.m., so hopefully you can be here and join us then. If not, we'd love to see you at one of the other events. But this is an important conversation, and now is the time to be a part of it. We want to hear from you, and we hope to see you there. And thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Like she mentioned up at the front, Jean, if you want to give us a wave real quick, Jean has the copies of that that sort of event schedule for the town engagement workshop, so grab one on your way out if you wouldn't mind. And would you like me to?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I can. So we will now take a quick meeting adjournment, 5 minutes, and then once we reconvene, we'll take questions and answers. Thank you so much. Grab a cookie, yes.
Comments? Gene, right here for Mike.
Hey, I got a comment and a couple of questions related. One, I'd like to thank Russell and his team for a great job of responding to all our requests after Irma. They really did a great job, and we appreciate it. If I understood Victoria's chart right, and there were a lot of numbers up there in a very brief period of time, so I may not have. Looks like there may be a little surplus from the first assessment. Is it possible to roll that surplus over into Irma expenses?
We cannot do that because that is my, sorry. That Matthew assessment had to be used for damages done to that named storm. Now, the board certainly has the ability to pass an additional. They could pass that, but at this time, no.
Okay. My second question is related. Given the things we learned about storm surge during Irma and the exposures we have in the drainage area, while the board's passing that recommendation, can we also carry any deficit over to preventive storm drainage issues to prevent damage in the next storm?
Unfortunately, the way that the covenants are written, those special assessments can only be used to repair damage. It cannot be used for operations, it cannot be used for capital, nor can it be used for future storm. Again, we still have a lot of expenditures from Matthew. Look at the boardwalks. You know, David referred to the moratorium, so we haven't even touched the boardwalks. And now, they got damaged, Matthew and Irma. So there's still a lot of work to be done.
Can you get the microphone to Carl?
Victoria, Victoria, it looks as though there's $3 million left.
No, sir. Yeah, if you could pull it up, Amanda.
Was the column for 2017 in addition to, or?
There's approximately 1.2 left.
Okay. Now, if you can't use it for this and you can't use it for that, does it go into limbo? What happens to it?
And there's so much.
I know one can always figure out a way
Well,
to
I mean-
spend it. That's not the point.
No, the repairs that still have not been done, we have to wait until the moratorium lifts so that we can repair the boardwalks. I have no idea how much that's going to cost.
We have ongoing tree projects as well, as David already showed. We're going to be in this for a long time. Those trees have been damaged in more areas than we have addressed, and we're going to see those continue to come down over time. And that's one of the big challenges that we indicated early in this process, was that from the forester studies that came in and reviewed this is going to be a long-term haul. We're not going to be done in a time frame that we can measure today.
Well, with that in mind, who owns title to that land? The land that houses the trees which are going to have to be treated in some way or another. Who owns that land?
The vast, if you're talking about the forest preserve,
Yes.
some of that's owned by the resort. We have a long-term lease, or the forest preserve itself has a long-term lease on that, where the forest preserve itself has the obligation to make those repairs. Additionally, the vast majority of the additional tree work that we're going to be doing is not in the forest preserve. We have over 2,000 acres out there that we have to go out and monitor and take care of. And we're working right now on putting together plans to go out and address those tree circumstances, as well as some of the issues that arose from our beach.
But did you want to correct my statement that I made earlier?
Yeah, and just, well, I'm not going to get into the details of it. I don't think there's an intention by this board to move money over from Irma or from Matthew into Irma. Okay? I don't know that that's technically not available, but I don't think there's an intention today. Now, that may change, and that's a board decision. Yes, Rosemary.
There we are. At a prior meeting, you mentioned that there were 160 property owners who had not paid their special fee, and I just wondered what we are doing to those people and how we are going to get the money. I'm a little worried. It's a lot of money. So I'm just wondering how that goes.
Currently, we have suspended their ability to call in a guest pass, and the payment plan ended October 1st, so anyone that still has not paid us by the end of this week, we will be seeking liens against their property. I know it's not any of you in this room, right? No.
Frank Babel, this is a question for Russell and the new leisure trail that's going by the Monarch. Would you mind putting that up? I'm sorry, where is that trail? Is that the trail between the entrance to the ocean, to the beach club, and the Monarch, or is that a new trail?
This is a brand new trail, Frank.
Okay.
Here you have Sea Pines Drive. You have an existing leisure trail here.
Yep.
This is Beach Lagoon Road.
Got it.
So again, as I stated earlier, this is going to give the ability for bike riders and walkers to actually get onto this trail safely and approach the existing leisure trail.
Okay. Well, a request to the right of that red line where the new trail is right there.
Uh-huh.
That is a very dangerous area. We see it's just too narrow, and we have a confluence of bikers and walkers and joggers and everybody else trying to get through a narrow 6-foot tunnel. And if you could, during that project, consider extending that and widening that a few feet, it would be appreciated, and it's a safety issue.
So you're talking about right here at this intersection?
Yes, between the exit from the beach club to the entrance to where that is. You take a look at it, it's like a tunnel.
Okay. Happy to take a look at it.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sure.
Okay, others? This side's been very quiet over here. All right, well, without any additional questions, thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate it. And have a great night and the rest of the week.